Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we are back once again doing a Photoshop video. We haven't actually done these in quite some time. I used to do them all the time on my channel. I personally like doing them. I think it's kind of a fun, different setup. Some people are like, oh, I think it looks bad. Oh, I don't like them, blah, 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 whatever. I like it, so I wanted to bring it back for a special video that we're going to be doing today. We are reacting a little bit, just not in video form, in picture form, screenshot form, to Travis Gafford's most recent video titled, Why Do People Stop Watching the LCS? He asked 4,000 people. As you guys can see up on the screen, the survey sample in total, he surveyed 4,446 respondents, with 2,739 saying that their interest in watching the LCS had decreased. So those 2,739 people are who we're going to be focusing on today to try and answer the question, why is the LCS dying? Why is the LCS losing viewership? Why are these numbers continuing to go down and down and down and down while League of Legends esports continues to become more popular or plateau even in other regions like Korea, China, and Europe? So I thought this was an awesome video by him. With that being said, definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much, and subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Here we go, getting right into this one. So hopefully this works out how I think it's gonna. Here are the top 11 choices of overall importance of each region. We're gonna be starting from the bottom to the top. The least important reason at the bottom, the most important reason at the top, because I think these are really interesting. Again, LCS viewership has been going down and down. Regular season viewership has been down and down. Even postseason viewership has been going down and down and down. Some of the top teams still remain pretty strong. You know, TSM consistently gets really decent viewership. 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, Cloud9, all pretty solid, but it hasn't been enough to increase the overall viewership. The bottom teams seem to get less and less. People are less interested. People are less excited. And everyone has a ton of different theories. There have been a ton of different theories going on behind the scenes, but actually getting to ask real-life human people who are fans of the LCS, because so often it's people who don't even watch the LCS, fans of the LEC, people who have no idea what they're talking about, giving their opinions. These are the actual people. So here we go. Let's jump into it. And I'll be giving kind of my reactions and stuff throughout, because honestly, these results are really not surprising to me, but I think they will be surprising to some people, because these are the exact things that I've been telling people about, because I am a fan of the LCS. I am someone who watches the LCS and has for years and years and years, and I agree with the most part for this list. So at number 11, we have the LCS isn't advertised well enough. I think that's a fair complaint. You know, I think there should definitely be more advertisement for it. You know, they could maybe push it harder in the client. I think they could release more YouTube videos. I think they could hit their social medias a little bit harder, but also a little bit better. You know, they've done some really cool video work and stuff in the past, and I don't know if that stuff has gone down because of COVID or because, you know, just whatever reason, but that stuff seems to have kind of gone downhill. And yeah, I mean, when you watch like the NBA, NFL, soccer, stuff like that, there's commercials all the time. There's all those advertisements all over the place. And yes, that stuff is expensive, but that stuff is effective. That stuff does work. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely agree that they could do a little bit more of that. But yeah, down on the list for me as well. At number 10, we have I simply grew out of LOL. And obviously, this is something that is going to happen. This is almost unavoidable. This isn't really Riot's fault. This is something that has been around for what, 10, 11, 12 years at this point. League of Legends. It is seen as a little bit childish. Also, it is something that takes a big time commitment, you know, keeping up with the game, playing the game, all that stuff. Some people, your interests just change over time. 10, 11, 12 years, if you're somebody who got in at the very beginning, yes, your interest could absolutely change. I'm someone who, I used to watch a ton of football. I used to watch a ton of soccer. I used to watch a ton of baseball. I don't watch that stuff as much anymore. I grew out of it. It doesn't necessarily mean you grew out of it. You know, he's in quotes. This could mean a lot of different things. But growing out of it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, it's a kid's thing. It just means I'm a different person than I was 12 years ago. Things change. So, again, that one, not really Riot's fault, but a legitimate gripe, obviously. Not a fan of certain members of the broadcast. This is at number 9. I completely agree with this. I don't think I'm not a fan of certain members of the broadcast. I just think overall the broadcast needs to be better. There is a lot of guys that I think are very weak. I think, you know, I've been pretty vocal about my criticism of Emily Rand for a while. I do not think she is interesting. I do not think she is exciting. I don't think she brings anything new, unique, different, or good to the broadcast. Kaizen, Primal, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, I know he's been changing his name and stuff. Same stuff about him. I think they're like low energy, low charisma, not interesting, not exciting. I think the desk overall is just very boring. I used to watch the desk a lot in between games when there was a ton of exciting people. I felt like it was a little bit more interesting. I don't know, but lately it has been so terrible. I like Dash. I like Raz. Other than that, I don't really think there's a lot of good stuff going for the broadcast right now. I think Riot has hung on to a lot of people too long. High is another guy I'm very critical of. I thought they got rid of him years ago. They brought him back. boring, low energy. These guys are just not good at their jobs. So I agree with people there as well. So far, I think a pretty decent list. At number 8, we have LOL isn't as fun to watch as it used to be. This one I don't agree with. I think it's just as fun as ever. Again, maybe people are less interested in the game. Maybe it's just getting old to some people, whatever. I don't really agree with this one. But again, there's not really anything the LCS can do about that. There's not really anything Riot can do if the game... some people don't think the game is as fun to watch because I think it's just as fun as ever. NA teams never make it far at MSI or World. So I think a lot of people, European fans, when they're like, oh, NA, oh, LCS, you guys are dying because, you never make it far at International. And this also pertains to the import discussion where people are like, yeah, the LCS, to save it, they need to start letting more imports in. You guys need to start having better results. And I keep telling you guys that that's not true. That's not how it works. Just because if we all of a sudden started doing better at international competition or whatever, that does not necessarily mean that the viewership would go up. And the viewership isn't necessarily down because we're doing poorly. Like right now, when fans are tuning in, they don't even probably know what happened at last year's Worlds. They don't really care. They don't really remember what happened at MSI. They don't really care. You want to see a good, fun, interesting league. You don't want to see, maybe it would get us some more LEC viewership. Maybe it'd get us some more international viewership or whatever. But for the true LCS fans, the LCS regular season isn't really that much affected by how well we do it internationally, because we don't know how we're going to do internationally. We know, how we did 6-7 months ago, but if you're a real LCS fan, you forget about that and you just get hyped up for the next year. You think it's going to happen again. So I love that this is a little bit farther down on the list because everyone keeps saying imports are going to save the LCS, and it's just not true. I promise you guys. Next up on the list, we do have the favorite players are retired. And this is a big issue that the LCS is dealing with right now. Obviously, we just kind of lost that first generation of star players, losing Doublelift, Bjergsen, all these guys. And we need the next generation of talent to come up. The guys who are interesting, exciting, super good, but also super interesting. Trash talkers, vocal on social medias, all that stuff. And right now, I don't see it in the LCS, and that is definitely a big problem they're going to have to overcome. I don't know who the next Doublelift is. I don't know who the next Bjergsen is. To me, it seems like those guys aren't in the league right now, unfortunately. And that is also another problem with more and more imports. People who, maybe aren't as comfortable speaking the language or maybe not as comfortable on camera or whatever. That problem is going to continue to compound. You need people who are like fluent and energetic and comfortable in their region and surroundings and everything to be something that fans are even going to care about. Because at the end of the day, I'm a TSM fan, but the games are less interesting without Bjergsen. The games are less interesting to me without Doublelift. And yes, favorite players retiring is definitely a big deal with the LCS right now. Also, the LCS lacks homegrown talent. People love rooting for homegrown players everywhere. You see it in all kinds of sports. Tennis, soccer, baseball, football, whatever, the Olympics, the World Cup, all these things are so huge. You want to root for people where you're from, especially in North America where we have insane patriotism and all this stuff. If there was another, again, there's not a lot of big name North American players right now, like Doublelift. That's a huge gap that has not really been filled. That void is still open. I can definitely see that hurting viewership. We have a couple more to get through. LCS teams. LCS and teams don't produce enough entertaining content outside of gameplay. Again, I completely agree with this. It's not enough to just show up on the weekends and try and have an entertaining or exciting product. You need to keep people kind of enthralled in your ecosystem throughout the week. They should have big LCS content coming out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think that's something that the NFL has done so good. There's so many good NFL shows, so much good NFL content. There's football on Thursday, there's football on Saturday, there's football on Sunday, football on Monday. There's shows on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like, there is so much content. You can really get soaked up in it. Right now, you have LCS Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then between the week, what do you have? I mean, I do my best to fill the content void every single day for you guys, but there's not a lot of people doing what I do, and there's not a lot of good content out there. Teams and Riot themselves should be filling some of that gap, and it's just not really happening right now. Next up, we have teams and brands that will hold my interest. Again, same kind of stuff there. There's a lot of boring teams, a lot of boring brands, not a lot of hype and excitement in the scene. We also have not enough likable or interesting players. Same type of stuff. The teams are boring. The players are boring. It's not necessarily that they're not good or they're bad or whatever. They're just not exciting. They're not interesting to the fans right now, and that is definitely hurting the viewership and something that I totally understand, because that's something that I've thought about a lot recently. I'm like, who right now is my favorite player in the LCS? Who right now is the most interesting, exciting player? For the longest time, my favorite player was Bjergsen. I tuned into all his games. I loved watching what he did. I would watch his streams. I would, subscribe to his YouTube, all that stuff. But right now, who's my favorite player in the LCS? They're not really filling this void. And I don't know how to solve that problem, but you see it in all the sports. There's big names, big stars, big personalities that people love tuning into. You definitely need that to be successful in the long term. And finally, not enough interesting storylines. So, everyone talks about the gameplay. Everyone talks about the international performances, blah, 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 blah. But when you take a look at this list from the fans themselves, the top 6 things actually have nothing to do with gameplay. The top 6 things have to do with storylines, entertainment value, excitement, personalities, big names, trash talk, content. And again, I try to fill that void, and I encourage all content creators to help out, do more stuff. But at the end of the day, this comes down to the LCS teams and Riot doing a bad job at social media, content, all this stuff. They put out a mediocre product on the weekends, and throughout the week, they don't really put anything else out. And again, I think that is really hurting the long-term prospect of the LCS. It is not just the gameplay. Yeah, if the gameplay was better, sure, we get to more international viewers. But as far as the LCS fans themselves, we just want to be entertained. That is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Why have you personally lost interest in the LCS if you've been watching less? Have you been watching the same more? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.